Well, for more, let's bring in our contributor and former Democratic Senator from North Dakota, Heidi Heitkamp. Heidi, so great to see you.
Thank you.
You know, just put in a... Yeah, it is. And so many of her fellow colleagues, so many of them women that she mentored, like yourself, like a Barbara Boxer. You know, I grew up in California, so I watched, you know, Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer and these powerful women, you know, really move mountains and deal within a male-dominated zone. And so I'm curious, as you observed her and then got to know her, how did she impact you?
Well, I think just by her enthusiasm for relationships in the Senate. You know, we now have a Senate that runs on tweets. It runs on ginning up the most extreme elements of the base. But Dianne came in as an outsider into a Senate that was built on relationships. And she understood that, and she built relationships and never stopped. I mean, when you're a lowly senator from North Dakota, one of the smallest states, and the senior senator from California kind of takes you under her wing and says, what can we do to help you get done what you need to get done? You know you're in the presence of somebody who wants to govern, who wants the institution to work, and who really believes in the substance of what we're doing and not all the flash. And so I think there's so many of us have so many stories about her and how she reached out, maybe you know, with a smile to say, what can I do to help you?
You know, Heidi, I want to ask about her personality as a leader and her character. And refer to something that's kind of making the rounds on social media again. It's when that group of kids who wanted the who challenged her.
That's right.
On the Green New Deal, and you know, I don't know what they were expecting, but just as she would with a peer, it seemed, you know, she kind of backed them down a little bit. Well, here's what the reality. It's a delightful scene because of what it says about the idealism of those young people and about the realism and stateswomanship of Dianne Feinstein.
Terry, I like to tell people she went full on grandma on her. She just basically said, young lady, let me explain to you how this works. And, you know, she didn't work in rhetoric. She didn't work in platitudes. She worked in the reality of what needed to be done. It didn't make her any less committed to the cause of climate change. It just made her a realistic legislator who understood, look, this is a big change in our economy, and we need to be realistic about where we are.
So one more question, if you don't mind, because we've just been talking about kind of her life and her legacy and how she definitely was a champion for women and really mentored a lot of people, but also remained very, very strong. If you think about where she come from and the way she grew up in a pretty troubled household and just remained strong, you know, she was coming up in politics where, especially in San Francisco, it was all men, and she sort of fell into the position of mayor after the assassination of the mayor at that time, and Harvey Milk, and it was just how she rushed to the side of Harvey Milk, you know, felt for a pulse, and at that moment knew her life was about to change. And even just looking at this photo, this is actually one of my favorite photos of her. I mean, she looks so Jackie O in that piece. But she really moved forward and was a woman of the people, even though she had a lot of money and she married into wealth. She was able to tap into that to fundraise. You know, you saw her on the scene of the crime. You saw her talking to the fire captain, as we talked to one of the biographers. I didn't know this story. She would carry around this fire jacket in the back of her car and then go onto the scene like she was, you know, in command. She was one with the people at the very beginning, and folks identified with that.
Well, if you look at her legacy, it's giving voice to those people who didn't have voice. And even though she grew up, you know, wealthy and certainly enjoyed a very comfortable life later on, she really understood what it was like to be on the outside, what it was like to not have a voice, what it was like to be a symbol for so many people, especially women, on taking leadership, not just coming into the room and being glad you're there, but coming into the room and commanding the dialogue, being part of the dialogue. She was a force. And one story that I will tell you is when she and Barbara had a disagreement about a water project, I thought I would never want to get in between those two women. I don't know who's going to win, but let me tell you, California is represented in a way that not a lot of states are, because these were two women, and Dianne taking the lead many times, but two women who were very, very forceful.
And Barbara Boxer even said, even though they didn't disagree on a lot of things, and they didn't disagree many a times, they always seemed to work it out. I mean, yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right, Heidi Heitkamp, so great to talk to you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.